Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Please give us a call if you guys are looking to improve your credit score, lower your car payment, buy a car, trade in a car. If you're looking to purchase your first home, if you're looking to purchase a rental property, we can help you. Give us a call today, 877-205-7771. Talk to you guys soon, and thanks again. Hello everyone, this is Calvin Russell, CEO and founder of 850 Club Credit Consultation. Hope everyone's doing well today. Today we're going to talk about the 5 things you need to know before applying for a credit card. All right. And the reason why I want to bring this topic up is because I see so many of people, asking questions about credit cards and things of that sort. But I don't think that everyone always knows what I would consider like the entry-level basics of the credit card. We're not going to go into like interest and stuff like that. We'll do that on another video. But these, I would say, are the top 5 things that people should most definitely ask themselves or should think about before they apply for a credit card. So let's go. Number 1, all right, you have to decide, number 1, if you're going to be going with an unsecured card or a secured card, okay? For those who don't know, an unsecured card is where you're applying for a credit card and they're not asking for what they call a deposit, okay? And it's called a security deposit because you're actually giving the money to the bank there as a deposit, and then normally whatever that deposit is going to be your limit. Now there are some companies where they allow you to put a portion down and then they will give you another limit, like Capital One does that for their Capital One secured card, okay? For example, if you have like a credit card limit of $200, sometimes they'll just ask you for $50 or $100, okay? And but again, I haven't really seen that many other companies to do it outside of Capital One. But for the most part, 90% of other banks, whatever your deposit is, that's what your limit is going to be, and that's with a secured card, okay? So now, if you go with an unsecured card, you do not have to fund it in any way, shape, or form. You'll be able to get approved for it based on what your financial situation is. If you never had a credit card before, chances are your limit is going to be under $1,000, maybe somewhere between $300 to $500. In some cases, this is even high as $750. Normally, that's what it is. $300, $500, $750, $1,000. Okay, especially if it's your first credit card, expect somewhere between $300 to $500. And again, you don't need a deposit when you go unsecured. A lot of people think that you should go secured after you've already had an unsecured card. I don't think that that's the best route to go. If you start off applying for a card, you get approved for an unsecured card, you should never have to go a secured card a day in your life after that, unless of course your score has went down and things have changed in your life. But at that point, you don't need a card anyway, right? The whole point is to go from secured to unsecured because now you're more credit worthy, okay? So just little things to think about on that end. So that's number 1. Number 2, time at the job and time at your address, it does matter. Okay, why does it matter? Banks need to know where you are at all times, especially if your credit score is under 620, under 640, because again, they don't know if they can trust you yet. Usually when your score is under that area, you are just kind of getting your credit journey started. You haven't done everything that they're necessarily looking for in that. So there's a lot of different factors as to why they want to do that. So a good time frame that most banks are looking for, at least 2 years. 1 year is okay, but anything less than 1 year, then it's like, okay, that doesn't mean that you cannot apply, but do understand that that's something that they most definitely take a look at. Have you been at your job for quite some time? Or did you just start your job a couple months ago? They need to know, is your income stable? Is your living situation stable? More so the income than anything. They want to make sure that, of course, when the bill comes, can you pay it on time? That's the biggest thing. So that's number 2. Number 3, what is a credit card limit? I think a lot of times people, they confuse the balance with the limit all the time. Of course, the limit is the maximum amount that you're able to borrow. Now, you're probably saying to yourself, well, Calvin, I've had a credit card before and I was able to actually go over the limit. Yeah, and that's just another way for the bank to actually make money. Most banks will allow you to go over your limit, but there's going to be an over the limit fee. Okay, you better believe it. And again, that's how companies make money, off of interest, late payments, fees, over the limit fees and things of that sort. It just makes sense to them. So the limit is, of course, something that you never want to get close to. If you Google credit card utilization, which utilization is balance divided by the limit. If you Google it, everyone's going to tell you around about stay like around 30%. But if you look at FICO high score achievers, those are people that have, FICO scores of 780 or higher. You're gonna notice that most people, they're gonna be using anywhere between 0 to 10% of their utilization. Just because your credit limit is 10 grand, don't mean that you need to stay around 1,000. You don't have to carry a balance. Carrying a balance is when, of course, you pay, when you get the bill, and then instead of paying the bill in full, you just decide to, pay a portion of whether it's the minimum payment. Either way, it's not paying the card off, okay? There's nothing wrong with carrying a balance, but at the same time, you don't have to in order to build credit. I see it all the time. People will get a credit card and their limit will be like $500. They'll say, well, I spend about $100 a month. You don't have to, so, but again, everyone, process is different. So understand what a credit card limit is, okay? Number 4, sometimes banks, they need a little bit more time. A lot of times, just because, people fill out these online applications, they think that they're going to get, an instant answer. I would say about 80% of the time you should expect that, okay? But there are some times where information that they may have in their system may not match. A couple things. If your name is common, like Mary Jones, Bob Smith, whatever, just common names, sometimes your information may get mixed with someone else. Especially if you're like a junior. If if your dad was a senior or your dad was a junior, now you're the third or the fourth, sometimes information gets mixed up because the addresses are the same, and the only thing that's going to separate you is the date of birth and, of course, the social, okay? But a lot of times, too, they need to verify income. So they will actually reach out to your job. I don't know how many companies do it. I don't know the numbers exactly to it, but I had a client recently, and as a part of our, consultation package, we suggested that he get a credit card. And, of course, he got the credit card. He put the application in for for the credit card or whatever. And then once he did that, he was like, hey, they said I was going to get approved. And no, they said that there was going to be some time before he had gotten approved. They said we need some time to think about it. A lot of times people automatically assume, well, that's a no. Well, no, some banks tell you right away if you've been denied. But they really just did their due diligence. They just looked, they verified his income, they verified his address, they asked him for documentation, and sure enough, a week later he got approved, okay? So sometimes they just need a little time to make up their minds if it honestly says we need a little time. So you may get a random phone call from an 800 number. You may get an email request for documentation. And you can always follow up as well too. I had a client where they had gotten a credit card offer in the mail, they had applied for it, and then the company said they had gotten that they needed more time, to go over their application. A week went by, they said, Calvin, you know what should I do? I said, give them a call. They called them, and sure enough, they went ahead and approved it. But was it the call that made them approve it? I don't necessarily know if it was a call that made them approve it, but at the same time, it does play a role when they need to reach out. Number 5, you may be denied. If you are applying for a credit card, again, sometimes you're going to be denied. It could be a number of inquiries. It could be the fact that most of your accounts have been too recent. It could be that all of your cards have a certain type of utilization ratio. Every bank is going to be different. Just because you got approved with Bank A does not mean that you're going to get approved with Bank B. But on the flip side, just because you got denied from Bank A does not mean that Bank B will deny you, okay? So there's little things like that are going to play a major role when you're trying to get approved for a credit card, okay? So again, just keep those things in mind of 1 through 5. And of course, I'll even put the list down at the bottom as well too, if you want to just go down to it and kind of read it. But again, you want to get the explanation of it because a lot of times people are missing that explanation portion, okay? So either way, if you like this video, like it. Also, if you want to share this video, be sure to share it. And as always, be sure to subscribe as we have a lot more great content on the way. Thanks again, guys, and have a good day.